Good morning, children. Welcome to today's class. It's Module 1 Formal Writing. It's the continuation of what Indra ma'am had taught you earlier. Okay, so let's see what's formal writing. So, in this exercise in formal writing, we are going to see about editing exercise. What do you mean by editing? Okay, editing is nothing but there are certain things which is already given to you. All you will have to do is bring in a little change over there. Okay, bring in a little change over there, which makes the exercise or the given paragraph or the passage more presentable. Okay, while editing, there are few points to be remembered. And what are those things? First one are organization, punctuation, capitalization, and spelling. I'll repeat organization, punctuation, capitalization, and spelling. Let's see what each of these things emphasize on. So let's see the first one, organization. In the organization, you should always know that the passage should be in a proper way, okay, so that nobody will find any flaws in it. Okay, so first you will all have to know that if there is a proper subject verb agreement. Is there a proper subject verb agreement? Then all the ideas in the passage are organized correctly or they are abrupt. Okay, abrupt is jumbled. Okay, you should make sure the idea when it is starting from one point towards the end, everything should be in a proper way. For example, when you have to write about India as my country, okay, now you will have to explain about India. Okay, when you say India, you will also talk about India's how many states are there, how many capitals are there. First you may introduce about that thing. Next thing, you can get into the diversity of each state, then you can speak about the speciality of each state in it. Okay, likewise when you organize your paragraph, your passage, it will ensure that the readers, whoever reads it, okay, will show more interest towards it. Okay, instead you will talk about India, okay, and then you will suddenly talk about the neighboring countries, then jump again into India, then again speak about something else. No, that was not the way where we'll have to construct a passage. The passage has to be constructed with an idea, and the flow of ideas should be proper. There shouldn't be any stoppage in it. Okay, there shouldn't be any stoppage in it. Now moving on to subject verb agreement. Okay, I said that there should be a proper subject verb agreement. So what should we see over here? Okay, first thing, let's understand what's a subject, then let's understand what's a verb. Now subject, okay, it is not about your English, your social, your science. Those subjects are called as nouns. Okay, those subjects are called as nouns. Here the subject is also called as noun, but we are going to see something different in it. Here we call subject as a person or a noun which performs the action, that's called as a subject. For example, my name is Mitra. I am teaching English. So I am the one who's doing the action over here. So I become the subject. Okay. Priya is listening to me. So Priya is the one who's performing the action of listening. So she becomes the subject. So subject in a shorter term, we always call it as doer of the action. Got it, children? Okay. Now let's see what do you mean by verb. Verb is nothing but the action words. Now, what do you call by agreement? There's something to be written and signed? More to it, children. Each subject, okay, or a subject pronoun has its own respect. Okay, so according to the subject, the verb modifies. For example, modifies is changes. Okay, for example, go with subject pronouns. Okay, let's go with subject pronouns. What are the subject pronouns we know? We know first person singular as I, first person plural as we. First person singular as I and first person plural as we. Second person singular and plural stands as you. Then third person singular as he, she, it, and third person plural as they. Now let's take a verb for example. Let's take read. Let's take read as an example. So how am I going to modify the verb according to the subject? Okay. For example, when I say read, okay, I'll have to place it after each subject pronoun. And how am I going to do? I read, you read, we read, you read. Now let's go to the third person. Okay, he reads, she reads, it reads. Coming up to the next one, plural, they read. Okay, so you can see where an S has to be added. Where an S has to be added in third person singular. Rest of it takes the same base word. Same base verb. Okay, there are certain exceptions as well. Wherein what? The verb spelling changes accordingly. The verb spelling changes accordingly. Got it? Now let's see what's given in the screen. Subject verb agreement. Now who's the subject here? The dad's golf. Okay, the dad golf is the subject. Let's see what is going to be the verb. Golf is the verb. Okay, because he is going to play the golf game. Golf can also be a noun here, but here we are going to say golf. Okay, now see, when the subject of your sentence is a singular noun or pronoun, you must add an S to a present tense verb. For example, eat. Josie eats too many sweets. Josie eats too many sweets. Listen, run. Matt listens to music when he runs. Matt listens to music when he runs. Practice. She practices basketball every day. She practices basketball every day. Nap. My dog naps for most of the day. My dog naps for most of the day. Now let's take an exception in it. When the subject is or you, do not add an S to a present tense verb. For example, I like apples but you like grapes. Okay, just as I explained, children, you will have to divide the subject into three different categories. First person, second person, third person. And then you will have subcategory, that is singular and plural. Okay, so first person singular is I, first person plural is we, second person singular and plural both are you, third person singular and plural, third person singular he, she, it, third person plural they. According to the verb, according to the subject, the verb modifies. Okay, got it, children? Now look at the next part. When the subject of your sentence is a plural noun or pronoun, the present tense verb remains the same. This is the same thing which I've been explaining. Okay, these rules, the subject verb agreement rules, mostly plays an important role in simple present. In simple present, when it gets on to the next part of the tenses, most of the things going to be remaining the same. So when you are going to conjugate certain things in simple present, then you will have to be very careful. You will have to be very careful. Okay, so why did I teach you subject verb agreement over here? You people should know, when you frame or you construct a sentence or a passage, you should maintain the respect of subject and verb. What subject you are using, according to the subject, you must also ensure the verb has been applied with the rules. That is called as subject verb agreement. Now moving on to the punctuation. Moving on to the punctuation. Now you must be very careful with the punctuation, children. What do you mean by punctuation? Punctuation adds beauty to a passage. Adds beauty to a passage. For example, I read like this, okay. India is my country. No, Indians are my brothers and sisters. If I keep reading like this, will it make sense? No. Now when I have certain pause, when I add little more intonations to it, then will it actually beautify this passage? When people read or listen to somebody with the punctuation, then things are going to be more clarified. For example, does every sentence with a punctuation mark? You understand? So, my questioning ability should be posed in a question wise. I can't put it in a statement wise. Okay. So, let's see what do each punctuation play a role. Okay. Does every sentence end with a punctuation mark? Yes, it ends with a punctuation mark. It can either be a question mark, it can either be a exclamatory mark, or it can be anything, but it always ends with a punctuation mark. To know about this, you must know the 4 kinds of sentences. First one is declarative sentence or affirmative sentence. Second one is exclamatory sentence. Third one is interrogative sentence. And fourth one is imperative sentence. Okay. Now, first one, declarative sentence. Every sentence ends with a full stop. Okay, it starts with a capital letter and ends with a full stop. Now, moving on to interrogative sentences. Okay, here every sentence starts with a question mark, but it always ends with a question mark because we are posing a question over there. We are posing a question over there. Now, the third one is exclamatory sentence. When you want to show sudden interest or expression or happiness or sadness, we use this exclamatory mark. So, in a sentence, when it starts with a capital letter and ends with an exclamatory mark, then it is called as an exclamatory sentence. Now moving on to the fourth type is the what? Imperative sentence. It is your command or the demand. Okay, it doesn't start with a subject, it starts with a verb but ends with a full stop. It is like directly we are commanding someone, do this work, full stop over there. You understand, children? When you know these 4 kinds of sentence, it is going to be easy for you to know about the punctuations as well. So there are question marks or exclamation mark missing in a sentence or not. Okay, for example, you can't just read a sentence which is given like this. What is the color of the pencil? Is said by whom? Now, can I read it very plain over there? No. What is the color of the pencil? Question mark. So, people will understand. Yes, it is a question and we are supposed to answer to the question. Or exclamation mark. Okay. Hooray, I won the game today. Hooray. After hooray, put an exclamation mark. I won the game today is still an exclamation for me. So, I put it in an exclamation. So, it brings in an emotion into me when I have to say something. Have quotation marks. Okay, being used for speech. For example, I'm saying something and you want to repeat the same thing to somebody else. Put my words into quotation. Okay, when you use the quotes over there, it means you are using a direct speech over there or a reported speech over there. You understand? So you are taking in the words actually what is spoken by the speaker. Okay, when you do such certain things, okay, the quotation marks helps you to understand, okay, this has been happening over here. Okay, so we will understand the dialogues of people also. Then commas. Peter bought 20 liters of apple, 30 liters of monkey. If you keep reading like this, will it actually look sense? No. Now say, Peter bought 20 apples, 40 bananas, 3 pineapples. When you say so, you know there was a comma even without knowing that there's a comma in it. You can make a pause over there, but not a long pause, but a short pause over there. Okay, so you should also ensure the punctuation marks are very, very important over here. Got it? Now let's see what each punctuation teaches us. Okay. Now punctuation. The marks used to separate letters, words and sentences. The question marks at the end of asking sentences. Use apostrophes to show position. Use exclamation points at the end of telling sentences to show surprise or excitement. Use commas to separate words in a list after introductory words and in dates, addresses, and quotations. Use quotation marks to show that someone is saying. Use periods at the end of telling sentences and in abbreviations. Got it, children? Okay, now moving on to the next. Okay. Capitalization. Capitalization is a kind of a punctuation, children. Okay, now let's see what does it mean. Okay, does each sentence begin with a capital letter? It is very important. When you use a full stop and the very next word when you start, it should always be a capital letter. You understand? Does each sentence begin with a capital letter? Have the proper nouns been capitalized? You can't say, you can't write Mitra as M-I-T-H-R-A-M as small letter. Then I am not called as a proper noun. To use my name as a proper noun, my name should be written with a capital letter. Any month name, days of the week cannot be written as a small letter, wherein it is a universal fact that all months and days are listed as proper nouns. So every proper noun we are supposed to use a capital letter. Then the most important thing is the pronoun I. When you want to replace yourself, okay, your own self into a sentence, you use the pronoun I. You use the pronoun I. To use the pronoun I, it is very much essential that anywhere it may come between the words, in between the sentence, I should always be written in a capital letter. Not the beginning of the word, children. I, when it is a single word and it is a pronoun, it should always be written in a capital letter. Now moving on to the capitalization rules. First letter of a sentence. Look at the example. My cat is white. So M is in capital letter. The pronoun I. Joe and I are best friends. Joe and I are best friends. The next one. Names of people. Lauren, Adam. L and A in capital letter. Names of places. Okay, Cedar Folk Elementary. CFE in capital letter. Opening of a letter. Dear Mom. D in capital letter. Closing of a letter. Sincerely Tommy. S and T in capital letter. First word in a quotation. No, I said. Title of anything. I want my hat back. I want my hat back. Got it, children? Next important thing is the spelling. Children, you people have to improve your vocabulary. Vocabulary is something which deals with the spelling. When you know the spelling, to build a spelling, it is going to help you out to remember the spelling, the most difficult spelling also without any difficulty. Are all the words spelled correctly? In a passage, you should ensure that you are not going to use any colloquial language, but you are going to use a proper British accent over there, wherein you write all the words with the correct spelling. Got it? The next thing you'll have to see is, are the singular and plural forms of words spelled correctly? For example, practice, P-R-A-C-T-I-C-E, practice. Okay, well, when you will have to write it in a singular form, it is practice. Okay, singular form, it is practices. Okay, plural form, it is practice. So what is the spelling of practices? P-R-A-C-T-I-C-E-S, practices. Okay, you should be very particular about it. Got it, children? Yeah. So now moving on to the exercise, let's see what has to be done here. The paragraph given below has mistakes in it. There are spelling, punctuation, sentence, formation, and grammatical errors. Rewrite the passage after correcting the errors. You understand? You'll have to rewrite in the space provided over there. Okay. So, after once you go through all the video, now you people have to start editing it and write the answer in your textbook. So that's all I have for today. Thank you class for joining me today.